This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to Spouses Talking Houses with husband and wife real estate team Jennifer and Brian Frost. Everything you want to know about buying, selling, investing, and owning property. So let's get real about real estate.
Welcome back to Spouses Talking Houses. I'm Jennifer.
I'm Brian.
And today we are going to get real about cash transactions, every realtor's favorite type of sale.
Cash is king.
Cash is king. Yeah, we love cash. Bring us more cash.
Although in COVID times, I don't know, cash, nobody wants to be using cash.
Well, it's all virtual. I haven't seen any actual money
I got you,
in years.
Yeah.
So
keep the change.
there you go. Before we get into that, though, Brian, let's just talk a little bit about what we've been up to. Our daughter has just leased a new Toyota Camry.
Oh, yep. She now has a better car than I do, which is not unusual.
She always has a better phone than us.
Exactly.
Yeah. And if anybody wants a reference to a great dealer, let me know, because we got a good deal.
Yes.
And she's got a good, reliable car.
Sure.
I had to prepare her for the shock of what it costs to register the car, though.
Yeah. And it's 4-wheel drive, right?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We didn't listen to you. An SUV was going to be out of her price range.
It's all good, hon.
Okay. All right. So that's one of the things we've been up to. So, we got to keep selling real estate so that we can keep giving money away to our daughter and next the puppy.
Oh, yes. And you're also buying an expensive puppy.
I'm buying an expensive puppy. And I'm going to buy that puppy anything that...
which will probably have a better car than me, too.
Exactly. Oh, we already have a crate. We already have a fence. We already got child gates.
We're already in deep on that.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. We haven't even started on the dog toys yet. Yeah. So,
I can hardly wait.
Or the expensive food. So anyway, so we have no cash, but we're going to talk about cash buyers and cash transactions. So, how common is it for there to be a cash transaction in real estate? I mean,
most transactions probably go conventional. Not probably, they do go conventional financing, but I do have some stats here if you'd actually like me to go through them.
I would like you to go through some stats, yes.
Okay.
Why do you think I bring you here?
There you go. And you can correct me.
If you're wrong or
yes,
just
exactly.
if I feel like
no,
it?
if you feel like it.
Okay.
Per MLS, in South, actually, let's say that it's November 17th, 2020.
Okay, yep.
And this is per MLS as of this morning in Rockingham County, which is basically southeast New Hampshire.
Yep. And
let's see, for the last 12 months, there were 3,752 total sales. 67% of those were conventionally financed. 14% were cash sales.
Okay.
10% were FHA and 6% were VA. So that makes up about 97% of the deals done in southeastern New Hampshire.
So 1 out of 7 was cash sales.
Pretty much.
That's a little higher than I would have expected.
I was actually I was expecting about 10%. So
right.
That was a little higher than I expected too. So maybe the COVID climate that we're in might be also contributing to that.
Was that residential only? Or?
Yeah, I didn't include condos. It was just residential.
Single-family homes.
Single-family
homes. All right. Because I would think multifamilies might be a little bit more cash.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Than residential single families, and I'm not sure about condos. I'm looking at the New Hampshire Association of Realtors 2019 stats, and 86% of the sales in New Hampshire, and this would be all sales, financed a home, 86% financed. So that left us with 14%. 14% that were cash. It
hasn't changed.
Yeah. And those who did finance their home typically financed 88%. So they had about 12% down. And then first-time buyers typically financed 94%. So they had about 6% down.
Okay.
Yeah. Cash sales, they are always a part of the market, but there are definitely times when people start to pull away from other investments and go into real estate, and then there are times they tend to pull out of real estate and go into other investments. But for your single family residence, I think most people will go ahead and get a mortgage. And right now, the interest rates are so low.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a no-brainer to finance your home right now. Why would you pay cash?
Right, if you had that
get
cash,
a mortgage for
would you
3%
necessarily do it?
Yeah, in that neighborhood.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit first, just very briefly, about what are the considerations from a seller standpoint when they receive a cash offer, and then. There's not much to say there. Sellers like cash offers. Okay. And then we'll talk in depth about being a buyer and buying with cash and what's involved with that.
Yeah, I mean, cash offers are great, but I mean, it's still cash to the seller no matter what.
Exactly. So I could have two identical offers, and one buyer is cash and the other buyer is receiving financing. And so there's a difference in the process. There's a difference in the probability of it closing. But at the end of the day, when you're at the closing table, are you going to take a haircut as a seller and give a discount to that other buyer because they were cash? Or are you just going to say, if I get another $20,000, I'm willing to let this guy go get a mortgage?
Right. A cash deal is just perceived as less risk.
Exactly.
To the seller.
Yeah. Yep. A little quicker, a little easier, less risk. But whether the buyer gets a mortgage or not, really,
at the end of the day, you're getting
that purchase price as the seller.
You're getting the cash.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. It might matter to a seller if they were doing seller financing, but that is highly unusual. I don't run into that really ever, and there's a lot of regulations in regards to that.
That's where you're going to end up. Seeing that a lot more in multifamily transactions.
True, exactly, and in commercial.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, for a seller, cash is king, absolutely. But if you're substantially less than the other offers, you're probably not going to win that bid. Considerations as a buyer. I think the first one is if you are purchasing with cash. There's no mortgage company to do the appraisal for you. So are you going to want to add an appraisal clause? And are you going to want to pay to have an appraisal? Or are you just going to go forward and buy it based on what you and your agent determine the value to be?
Well, in my experience, a lot of these cash transactions are investors. Mm-hmm. And they know what they're going to do to the property.
Yep.
Going in. So I think they're less inclined in a lot of cases to do inspections, require an appraisal, put in appraisal clauses.
Exactly.
That's your experience also, I
It's
assume.
my experience also. When the market was a buyer's market, so in other words, prices were on the downgrade.
When was that?
I know, a long time ago. But when prices were slipping instead of increasing, then I would see people with cash offers put in appraisal clauses.
Okay.
Because they wanted to make sure that they weren't overbuying.
Sure.
And maybe they also wanted to use that as an additional piece of leverage or negotiation during the transaction.
So if the price is for lower, they can come back to the seller and say, hey.
Exactly.
Let's renegotiate.
Right. But in this market, I'm not really seeing. No. Another thing with a cash transaction is when you make the offer or when the offer is about to be signed, you're going to need to provide proof of funds. You can't just say, hey, I'm a cash buyer.
Or here it is.
Bring one of those.
My suitcase.
Yeah, what are those aluminum or steel suitcases called, right?
With money sticking out the side.
With money hanging out. So providing proof of funds could be a bank statement, and you just take a marker and redact the account numbers.
Okay.
It could be a letter from your financial advisor, or your accountant, or your banker.
Yeah.
What we really want to make sure is that it's not subject to you selling a piece of real estate, and that's where the cash is going to come from. So somebody might say I'm a cash buyer because they're not taking a mortgage out, but it doesn't mean they have the cash in the bank.
Right. It's cash they expect to get in the
they're
future.
anticipating.
Yes.
Exactly.
So it's not really.
Exactly. Yeah. So proof of funds is really important, and I'm surprised how often I have to ask for that.
What do you mean? I have it.
Yeah, exactly. So be prepared for that.
Sure.
The other thing that a cash buyer needs to do is order title search.
Oh, right. Because usually that would be done by the mortgage company.
Yeah, normally the mortgage company is going to order a title search. In this case, you're going to need to go to a real estate attorney or settlement agent and go ahead and ask them to do that. A lot of times they'll give a very good price for cash transactions because they're simply doing the title search and handling the settlement on the day of settlement, but the whole paperwork package is going to be so much less than in a mortgage transaction. So you can usually get a pretty good price from the settlement agent for that.
Sure, it's very easy for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, in most cases.
They would object to us saying it was easy, but yes, it's easier.
It's easy for them.
It can be easier. I'm asked sometimes by a cash buyer whether they should buy title insurance or not. And
what do you say?
I say absolutely.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you never know what can slip through the cracks.
Right.
That's
protecting your investment. You just took all that money out of wherever you had it.
Yeah. In my early days when I was doing large commercial properties, I would actually do something very similar to a title search where I would actually have to go into the registry of deeds and open up all those books and look up that book and page and then reference the book and page before that.
This was in the 1800s?
Yeah, exactly. No, back in the 80s.
Okay, exactly.
Close enough.
Yeah.
So I got a really
things
good
could be missed.
Yeah, I got a really good idea, and actually, it wasn't that easy.
No, it's not.
Because it's monotonous. It's a lot easier now, where you can just plug in the book and page, electronically.
It's the same process, but you still have to look at each one of those things.
Exactly, you still have to go. Right. You still have to go through it all. Yes.
You still have to go through that whole chain of title.
Right.
Yeah, when you're taking out a loan, the lender's going to require that you have title insurance, and that's part of your closing costs that they disclose to you.
Sure.
And when you're purchasing cash, there's nobody to make you do it. You don't have to do it. And so, it's not uncommon for them to look to me and be like, I don't really need that, do I? And I'm like, well, you just bought that piece of paper. Don't you think you should insure it?
How much does title insurance cost?
It's not that expensive. It's it's all calculated on the price of the house.
Right. So, what would be the range for
about $600?
Right. So it's peace of mind. It's short money for that. Don't you think?
I do.
Yeah.
If I'd known you were going to ask me that, I would have had the calculator out in front of me. But
and then I would have said, "Oh, that's wrong."
Yeah, there you go.
No, but I totally agree. It's short money for the peace of mind that you get.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
We would definitely, if we were representing a cash buyer, we would highly recommend that they do that.
If I had $300 or $500 or $800,000 cash that I put into a property,
it's your cash,
and it's my cash, and I didn't have title insurance,
that protected. Yes,
I know that
exactly.
I'd absolutely have it. Same thing with flood insurance. So if you've got a financed property and you're in a high-risk flood zone, you're going to be required to have flood insurance. But if you're not financed, nobody's going to require you to do that.
Right. And they change all the time.
Yeah.
And flood insurance can be expensive.
The zones change, you mean, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. The zones change all the time, and it can be very expensive. So you want to know what you're getting into.
Absolutely.
Even if you decide not to buy the flood insurance, you want to research it, determine whether it's necessary, and
exactly,
what the
cost would be.
The cost effectiveness is.
Yeah. Also, sometimes people will purchase with cash because they want to buy something and then fix it up, or they want to do something that's kind of a simple, quick transaction in a multiple offer situation. But because mortgage money is so cheap, they actually do still plan on taking out a loan.
Right.
Right. So they'll purchase it cash, but then they do plan to have a mortgage of some type. It might be that they're going to do just a traditional mortgage, and it might be that they're going to do a line of credit, like an equity line of credit. So one thing to think about there is that your interest rates and terms on a purchase mortgage are better than your interest rates and terms that are available on a cash out refinance. So if I purchase the property cash on Friday with a purchase loan, I'm going to get better terms than if I purchase it with a loan on Friday versus cash, I'm going to get better terms than if I purchase it cash on Friday and then Monday go take out a mortgage. Because at that point, it's not a purchase loan, it's a cash out refi.
Right.
Okay. The other thing, though, is you could do an equity line of credit, and those are usually very inexpensive to get. And they're an adjustable rate, and you draw money out as you need it.
Sure.
But that's something to think about, too, is if you're buying cash, but you're thinking you're going to put a mortgage on it shortly afterwards.
And I guess a lot of people should consider doing that right now while rates are at all-time lows.
Right.
So that when rates go up, at least you have that in place. You don't have to draw off it.
Right.
But it's in
there.
a buffer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then if you're doing something where you're fixing the house up, you might purchase something cash because it's not going to easily qualify for a mortgage. It's in such poor condition to be collateral for the loan. And then you go ahead and make the improvements and you've added equity to it. And then you go and do a loan on it. Yeah. Yeah. And we already discussed the fact there's not really a cash discount. I mean, I see cash buyers think they're supposed to get like 10% off because they're cash. And I don't see that realistically unless it's a house that really can't be financed.
I think they all expect it.
That's true, yeah. But I don't see it actually happen.
I agree. Well, especially in these market conditions.
Not right now.
But when the market changes, when it's a down market, they might have an advantage.
Well, they certainly have an advantage, yeah.
Because not everybody can get financing at that time.
Right.
So it's definitely an advantage.
Yeah.
So it depends on what the market conditions are.
And then I think what we're all curious about is where do cash real estate buyers get, this money? The most frequent place that I see they get it from is from the sale of other real estate.
Yeah, they're investors where they have several deals going on at one time, and they just keep rolling it into other investments.
Exactly. Or maybe they have their primary residence has been paid off, and so they're able to sell that and then purchase their next house mortgage free. We see people get cash from inheritances.
Sure, all the time, yeah.
Or from the sale of property that they've inherited.
Yeah. Okay.
Retirement accounts. I see people will take money out of their retirement account to purchase real estate. Mine's not that robust, so I'd have to buy one of those tiny houses.
I don't know. Those are pretty expensive these days, too.
Stocks and investments, of course. Insurance settlements. So people
who get injured.
It might not be injury, but
right,
yes,
I know, yes.
But depending on the size of the insurance settlement, that might be a situation where they can purchase a home or customize a home.
Yep.
Sale of businesses. And there's with this age of the baby boomers and the amount of small businesses and self-employed people, I think there are a lot of businesses that are being sold right now.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah. Family funds, we'll see families step in and provide funds. Maybe they're hard money lending to their children or something like that. And I have yet to have a buyer who won the lottery. I'm very disappointed.
You really want to represent a buyer who won the lottery?
Yeah, why not?
Well, we'd have to move our business to an island or something.
What do you mean they don't want a nice house on the lake on Winnipesaukee?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
I was thinking
It's
London.
not going to be their main house. It's going to be their fourth or fifth house.
I was thinking
exactly,
Londonderry, but okay,
Yeah.
I get you. Yeah, sure, we'll sell my house on Winnipesaukee.
Yeah. Actually,
it would be nice to have a client who has actually won the lottery. But
yeah, I think
hear
that'd be
people
pretty
do
cool.
win.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, if they did win the lottery, they should never tell anybody, including us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't play the lottery, but if I won the lottery, I wouldn't tell you.
No. I would tell you.
Well, I might tell you, yeah. Well, not right away.
Will you tell me after we got divorced? Is that it? You take the money and run.
No.
So yeah, but I think cash is great, and I think we especially see it with second homes and investments.
Yep. No
I don't
doubt.
see it that much on primary residence.
Right now, use the bank's money is what I can say.
Yeah,
you
I
might as
agree.
well. So
I agree.
this might be our shortest episode ever.
I think that'd be great. We're supposed to keep them around 20 minutes. So we like cash buyers and we like cash transactions. So feel free to call us if you've got one that you'd like to put into motion.
And if you've just won the lottery,
please, we are the Lottery Realtors. All right. Thanks so much for joining us for Spouses Talking Houses. Please like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you next time.
Music courtesy of the Eric Lindbergh Trio. Please visit his website at www.ericlindberghworld.com. Jennifer and Brian are licensed to practice real estate in New Hampshire and Massachusetts. Brian is also a certified general appraiser in New Hampshire. They are not lawyers, accountants, home inspectors, or therapists. Real estate customs and rules may be different in your area. Each Keller Williams Realty office is independently owned and operated. The Realtor name is trademarked to members of the National Association of Realtors. If you are currently under contract with a real estate agent, this is not intended as a solicitation. Views expressed on this podcast by Jennifer may not be shared by Brian and vice versa, nor are they necessarily the views of Keller Williams Realty.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21, Podcast Café, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.